Today I'm with Arthur Acker, the Operations Manager of Equitise. Good morning, Arthur. How are you today?
Good morning, Peter. I'm very good, and you?
Very good, thank you. Well, we're getting near the end of 2019 calendar year and all the anticipation for what's going to happen in the next decade. But can we just look at a bit of history first of all about the crowdsource funding equity raising story in Australia? The story's obviously not concluded and still got a long way to go on its journey. By the end of October, Equitise had completed 13 capital raisings of about $10.3 million, which represented 23.6% of the 55 companies that had raised capital in Australia. Are you happy with that result from your company's point of view?
Yeah, we are definitely. First of all, it shows that Equitise is one of the leading equity crowdfunding platform in Australia. And equity crowdfunding is just one portion of the capital raise we do. If you look at our whole portfolio of companies, we've raised close to $40 million now.
Oh, okay.
So, we're very happy with the results. We still want to grow that portion of equity crowdfunding offers on our platform and help more companies to raise capital. But we think we've done very well. And also one thing we're very proud of is that we're seeing more and more companies coming back to us after the first round to raise more capital.
Yes, I noticed that. That's great, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah, it is. So we've had, in equity crowdfunding, we've had Zinja, Vineo Bank coming back. We had a company called DIT, an agri-tech company coming back to us to raise capital. And then we have quite a few wholesale opportunities where the companies are also coming back, like Car Next Door, Digital Classifieds Group. So we really see ourselves as a long-term partner of those companies. We're not just trying to get the best opportunity once in time and just raise capital and close the relationship with those companies. We really want to build something strong and help them over the long term of their growth. So we're really happy about that too.
Yeah, that's great. What improvements would you like to see in the preparation that companies or their advisors, accountants, etc., have made before someone comes to talk to you and your colleagues at Equitise?
I think one important thing is to make sure that the company is ready to raise capital and that they have a good understanding of what they want to do. Often companies come to us and say, we want to raise capital, but we don't know how much, we don't know why, we don't know what for. So it's important that the company comes and has thought on their side about what they want to do over the next 24 months, what they need to achieve that over the next 24 months, how much they need in the short term, the long term, because we cannot tell them how much they should raise, what should be the terms, and like we expect the company to be aware of exactly what they're looking to do. One other thing that would be very helpful is if those companies could have like a quality pitch deck available, because very often it takes a lot of time for us to get a complete understanding of what a company does, where they are at, what are the key achievements, the key strength, and it requires like 3 phone calls, take 3 weeks to get the answers, to get the full financials, and it delays everything. It takes a lot of time for us to dig through all the information. Whereas sometimes we have companies who are really like investor friendly ready, and they come to us and they have this very good looking deck, which covers all the key areas of the business, what they have achieved, what is the growth strategy, an overview of the financials, how much they want to raise. And that helps speed up the process a lot because it means first email, we have this deck, we have a good overview of the business, we organize one first call, we answer the few questions we may have, and then we can directly discuss during our investment committee about the company and take a quick decision about whether we can help them and how we can help them.
Okay, very good. A new decade is about to commence in the world, not just in Australia, obviously. I can remember 10 years ago where everyone was looking forward with a little bit of fear, I think, at times about what was going to happen by 2020. Well, we're here now, or we will be in a couple of weeks. What do you think this next decade is going to mean to crowdsource funding, equity raising, and primarily to the small and medium-sized businesses in Australia who can use it to finance their business operations?
I think it's going to be a very important 10 years for the early stage companies ecosystem in Australia. Over the past 5 years, we've seen more and more early stage companies growing in Australia and also internationally, in the fintech space, biotech space, agri-tech space. There's a lot of things happening here. So hopefully this keeps going like that. More and more people and more companies succeed and expand internationally like that. So yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting 10 years. Obviously, there is a lot of uncertainty around many things in the markets at the moment, and not only Australian early stage ecosystem, but like the broader Asian, China, US, Europe. So there are some risk and some uncertainty out there, but those early stage companies are a key component of a growing economy. And we've seen some very strong trends over the past few years, and we think it's going to keep going. And we really often compare Australia to the UK. UK obviously is a larger market, and they're very close to Europe, but it's very comparable in terms of culture and kind of businesses. And if you look at the UK market and the equity crowdfunding scene over the past 10 years, with the large two platforms being Crowdcube and Seeders, you can see that we are probably 5-6 years behind the UK. And today, we are at a stage where they were at 5 or 6 years ago. And if you look at the numbers and how much they have raised now through equity crowdfunding, it's insane. Like, I think each platform has raised more than £500 million to date. So it's more than £1 billion overall in the UK market. So we think Australia is going to grow and follow the same trend. Obviously, it's a smaller market with a smaller population. So the number might not be 1 billion in 5 years' time, but still, I think that it's going to at least double every year over the next 5 years.
And that's going to equate to a lot of support for a lot of companies, and also potentially a lot of work for the advisors who are helping these companies on this journey, whether they're accountants or business advisors or lawyers. The companies will need advice. Just on another matter, Arthur, the federal government's treasurer a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Frydenberg, announced the Australian Business Growth Fund, which he envisaged would be commencing very soon. In fact, he used the word imminent in his press release. And this apparently is going to be targeted at companies with turnovers over $2 million up to $50 million per annum. And he indicated in his news release 30 to 50 companies per annum might get support. This is a fund that the government's invested in, 100 million, and the banking industry's put $420 million in. What do you think this fund's impact's going to be with crowdsourced funding, equity raising? Is it going to bring this whole equity capital opportunity more into the public sphere, because the government will presumably be promoting this new fund? And is that going to help crowdsource funding, equity raising overall?
I think it's a very good thing, this fund. It's going to help get more businesses to grow and to succeed, and get more visibility to those early stage companies in Australia. So I think it's definitely a really good thing. As you said, they're going to focus on companies with at least 2 million turnover, and I think it's going to be closer to 5 million, at least 5 million turnover. So they're going to look at companies which are of a very decent size, generating quite good income, most likely already profitable. So I don't think we're going to target always the same companies. Most likely companies that are going to use equity crowdfunding might be before that, not yet generating $5 million, but more trying to get there. So I think that's really where we sit, and that's where our focus should be. But we do have those companies turning like large amounts of revenue. Like we've been working with Booktopia, with Car Next Door, with Madcos, and those companies have turnover of more than $10 million. We think that we're still going to be very complementary to this kind of capital raise, because equity crowdfunding is not only about raising capital, it's also about getting a marketing campaign in place, getting more brand awareness, putting a PR together. So I think it's really complementary, and a company could come and say, well, we have to raise $6 million. We're getting $3 million from the government and from the fund. And then we think we want to put $3 million on Equitise and do this broad marketing and PR campaign and give the opportunity to our customers, our followers, to engage in the company, to invest, and to back the business. So no, it is definitely a plus. The more the government and institutions back those early stage businesses, the better for everyone in the market. And we're not really competing. Like, there are a lot of companies in Australia which can be very successful and that want to raise capital. What is lacking is people actually investing in those companies. If you look at equity crowdfunding, not very often do us or other platforms will reach the maximum. Sometimes we do, we get very good momentum and the maximum the company wants to raise is reached. But very often we were going to raise maybe 50, 70% of the maximum. So it means the company could have raised more. And that's when those kind of government funds can really help by filling in this gap and making sure that the company is fully capitalized and can put like all steam ahead to grow the business.
Okay, well, that sounds very interesting, and obviously is giving us all an indication that in Australia, we're really only at the beginning of this whole process, aren't we? This evolution of, I made a comment the other day, Section 708 was introduced 35 years ago by Paul Keating into the Australian corporate scene. Prior to that, it was very difficult to raise capital. I know, I used to work with some clients trying to do that. But after that, we had this very long period of no action. But then we've had early stage innovation company, crowdsource funding, equity raising, and now the Australian Business Growth Fund. I think it's an exciting time for a whole range of people, the companies, people like you and your organisation, and accountants and business advisors out there and lawyers helping their clients. So we look forward to the new decade.
I agree with you. And yes, Australia has been a little bit behind Europe and the US with equity crowdfunding. We've even been a little bit behind New Zealand, which got the laws before us. But like more and more countries are launching laws to allow for equity crowdfunding. So Hong Kong have recently allowed equity crowdfunding. The Philippines are not going to allow equity crowdfunding, like they passed laws very recently. Vietnam and other Southeast Asia countries are also looking at it. So all those growing markets, I think, start to understand that the early stage ecosystem is a key component of the growth of a country. And in order to promote those businesses, you need to allow for more funding in those businesses. And equity crowdfunding is a component of this funding. And we're not competing with VCs, governments, institutional investors. I think it's the whole package, and where we want everyone to have the opportunity to participate and to support those companies.
Okay. Well, thanks very much for your time today, Arthur. And I'd like to wish you every success in 2020, your organisation, Equitise, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you at a later date.
Thank you very much, Peter. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And thanks a lot.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Speak soon. Bye.